to the IFF TV podcast.
Hello Macadors Football Fan TV, this is our match preview ahead of the Portugal game. We are live, so if you want to get your comments in, I'm joined by the one and only Gary Spain. Gary, how are you on this fine Monday?
All good, Paul, and looking forward to the game.
Yeah, I'm not so much looking forward to it. Obviously, look, I'm happy Ireland are playing and stuff like that, but and we're going to speak about it as well, it's just the squads, and you know, we're coming up against Portugal, who are one of the best teams in the world, the European Championships winners of 2016 as well. They've got Ronaldo, he's on course to break his record, and they've obviously got other magnificent players in their squad as well. But how are you feeling going into this game?
Oh, well, I am looking forward to the game. I always love the international breaks, but I am viewing this one with a lot of trepidation. It's Portugal away. As you mentioned, Ronaldo set the international goal scoring record. I'm very nervous about it. It's going to be very difficult, and I think it'll be virtually impossible for us to get any kind of a result. And hopefully, I don't think it will, but hopefully it won't get really ugly, because with Ronaldo chasing records, etc., and Portugal's first game of the break, and they're potentially looking at goal difference. I don't think frankly, they probably don't see us as challengers anymore to qualify, but they're in a battle with Serbia, so they may well decide they need a few goals, which it could get really ugly. But I don't think it will. I think we have a decent defence, so I wouldn't be that confident about getting a result, but I don't think it's going to be a total humiliation.
Can we take optimism from I think they only beat Azerbaijan 1-0 earlier in the campaign?
Yeah, I mean, we can take it. We can take maybe something from that, although that was a bit of a 1-0 hammering as well. And the other thing maybe you can take from it is it's the first game of 3 games in the window. So, I mean, I'm still hopeful we can possibly get a result. But if it was a case that they had the game wrapped up, I don't think they'd stick the knife in, which could get really bad. No, look, I don't want to sound too negative on this, because we have a decent defence. We have a very good young goalkeeper in goal, whichever one. And so who knows? We have gone to Portugal before. I mean, the last time we played a competitive game there, it's 21 years ago. And Matt Holland, that was a backs to the wall night as well. And Matt Holland came up with that spectacular equaliser. And it wasn't Ronaldo then, it was Figo, but something similar. We were up against a global superstar, and we got a draw against the odds. So who knows? Maybe we can be optimistic and say we can put in one of these performances. Maybe we do it once a decade. I'm thinking Richard Dunn in Moscow 10 years ago as well. And but it's going to be really difficult, because, as you said, they are one of the top teams in the world, and they would have been very disappointed with their showing in the Euros, going out in the knockout stages, and they will almost certainly qualify for Qatar, and they'll be going there looking to win the World Cup next year. That's the quality we're up against, and I think they have to be considered one of the contenders to win the World Cup next year.
Yeah, I think that's a fair point. I'm just going to run through a couple of the comments, because there's a lot of people commenting here. Jack O'Connor says, love this. Luke Mitchell says, yes, lads. Brian T says, is there anybody over here? You'll be there tomorrow, Gary.
Yeah.
The unnamed says, boys, we're going to get smashed. Jack says, I think we can hold them to a 0-0. Optimistic, that is.
That'd be brilliant.
Michael Marnie, who's a regular in the comments, he says, Ireland are going to beat Portugal twice and still make the World Cup. Connor Fleet says, 1-0 Ireland, Shane Duffy winner. I'd take that all day long, and I'd take both your hands for that. Michael says, come on, you boys in green. Jack says, 0-0 all over. No, Callum Robinson is such a shame. Yes, it is. Luke Mitchell says Ireland 1-0 Ireland. Darrell O'Shea wonder goal. And there's so many coming in there. Peter Froy called someone pessimist. I don't know if it's me or you or in the comments. I'm not sure, but look, we have to be realistic against who we're coming up against as well. As Michael says, we lost to Luxembourg earlier in the campaign. And then Connor says, we played a back five against Luxembourg and lost. Do you really think we can get a result against Ronaldo's Portugal? The only thing I will say is about Ronaldo is obviously he hasn't, I don't think he's even played a game yet in pre-season, but he might have played earlier on in Juventus' pre-season, so he hasn't been playing like regularly or anything like that, so this will be his first game in a while if he is to start. But I'm just going to run through Portugal's squad because I have it up on the computer here in front of me. So the three keepers, they've Anthony Lopez, Diogo Costa, Rui Patricio are the three keepers. They've João Cancelo at Man City. I think Ricardo Pereira at Leicester. Domingos Duarte, Gonzalo Inacio, Pepe, Ruben Diaz as well, who was absolutely outstanding last season in the Premier League. Nuno Mendes, Rafael Guerreiro, I think he's at Dortmund. Then they've got Danilo Pereira, João Palhinha, Ruben Neves, Bruno Fernandes, João Mario, João Moutinho, Otavio Montero, Bernardo Silva, obviously at Man City as well. Then they've got Andre Silva, who he scored a serious amount of goals with Frankfurt, I think it was, Eintracht Frankfurt last season. They've got Ronaldo, they've got Jota, they've got Guedes, they've got Pedro Gonçalves, and they've got Rafa Silva. So that's their squad. Just even listing off the names there's players that you'll forget, like your Bernardo Silva's, who's absolutely outstanding and played quite well at the weekend, I think, over Arsenal. So they have got players there, even in just that midfield area. We were speaking off earlier, that's a problem for us right now because we haven't got that many players playing there. I mean, I'm just going to look at our midfield. We've got Josh Cullen, Jeff Hendrick, Conor Howard, Harry Arter, Jamie McGrath and Jason Malumbi. So two of them are playing regularly for their clubs. That's Josh Cullen at Anderlecht and Jamie McGrath at St Mirren. And I don't see Jamie starting this game. Nothing to do with his ability or anything like that. It's just he hasn't started for Ireland before. He did well in those games earlier in the summer, but I just don't think it warrants a start. He may see game time against Azerbaijan, I feel, but those other players are a lot more experienced ahead of him. But they're not playing. I know they might get moves. I think Sheffield United are close to signing Conor Howard, and I think it's on loan. And Malumbi signed for West Brom. That's great. And I think Harry Arter's going to Charlton. That's all great that they're getting clubs, but they need to be playing. And this is, quite hard because we're going into a game against one of the best teams in, I'm going to say the world, I was going to say Europe, but we're playing against one of the best teams in the world with an absolute superstar. And more, because you look around, Bruno Fernandes is performing at a serious level as well. He's within the top, probably I would say top 3 Premier League players at the moment, and we're coming up against him and Ronaldo, albeit Ronaldo may not be playing like our midfield. So just from your own point of view, I've called out the squad there for you. Do you think that game is won and lost in midfield?
I think you can look at their back line and say we're going to get past Diaz. Yeah, you can talk about the midfield and the likes of and Pepe. Yeah, although he is getting a bit long in the tooth. Maybe there's levels of optimism, something there. But he's still a quality defender. Look, the midfield is absolute quality. I think Stephen will probably go for experience. I think we probably will see Jeff Hendrick start, even though he's not getting a lot of game time. Because it's away from home, because it's against one of the major footballing powers, and that's what he's going to do. But I mean, you talk about the midfield, then you talk about Ronaldo up top, and even Jota, who's superb for Liverpool. He's he's a superb player actually, and I think he's proved to be an excellent signing. And I think the point has been made.
He's got a score as well.
He does, and the point's been made by Liverpool fans is that their slump in form coincided with him getting injured, and they finished last season really, really well, and started this season really well as well, and so the quality there, anywhere you look in the Portuguese squad, it's frightening to some extent, and I don't think there's any if about Ronaldo starting. I think he's the captain. He's nailed on to start. He's a global superstar. He's chasing the record. I don't think any Portuguese manager would dare leave him out or rest him. He's going to start. They're at home. Okay, there's only going to be 10,000 fans. It is down in the south of Portugal instead of one of their hotbeds like Lisbon or Porto. But Ronaldo is absolutely 100% nailed on to start. If you want any slight sliver of hope, we have faced him before. He hasn't scored against us. It's actually a stat. Maybe somebody in the comments can actually check. But I know we have faced Ronaldo and Messi, and neither of them have scored against us. And I was actually struggling over the last couple of days to come up with another footballing nation that they've both played against. Now, I haven't trawled through all of them, but I might jokingly say another major footballing power apart from ourselves that has held Ronaldo and Messi scoreless. And I hope it's still true after Wednesday. But maybe someone in the comments can come up with some other countries that have held both of them scoreless. But seriously, it's going to be really, really difficult on Wednesday. And you can look right through the Portuguese squad. I mean, whoever's on the bench on Wednesday night, I think for Portugal will probably walk into our team or our squad. I mean, that's the reality of it. But it is going to be 11 against 11, and you never know. I mean, I'm sure Stephen will have the team set up well, and I know whoever goes out there is going to give their all. And as I said, we've gone there before, and we've got results. So it's going to be very difficult. All logic points to a comfortable Portuguese win, but you never know.
Well, you don't ever know football, but you have set us up for an absolute downfall there with Ronaldo with that stat that the two of them haven't scored against us now. You do know that.
And he's got to, well, I would love to deny him the record at least for another few days, because I think he's going to be all guns blazing, ready to score. And if they do get a penalty, I think you don't even have to ask who's going to take it for anything like that. I think he's going to be desperate to score at home, even if it's, as I said, down in the south, a long way from the footballing hotbeds of Portugal. But I'm sure they're still going to have very passionate fans.
The comments are coming in, like, I haven't seen them coming in this thick and fast before, but Luke Conway says, hi Paul and Gary. Hi Luke.
Hi Luke.
And then there was another David Salter, who's usually a regular in our comments and our live videos and stuff like that. Shout out David. He says that 3 at the back in Portugal. I think it's nailed on. I think he basically said recently, I think it was in the papers, he did a press conference the other day with like broadcast media, which should be like ourselves and Off the Ball and RTE and that, and then he did one with the written media, so the journalists and stuff like that write for the papers. And he basically, I saw an article on one of them saying that the wing backs are likely to stay, which I think makes sense. What I likely think will happen is, I think it'll be a back 3. I think Coleman will probably play somewhere in that back 3 on the right side of a centre back probably. I think Shane Duffy will come back into that team as well. But it will be interesting. But does he go Darragh O'Shea, John Egan, or does he go both of them and leave Shane Duffy out? That would be an interesting one. And I think he'll go left wing back with James McLean.
Paul, I think he can play Seamus Coleman right back and play. I think Shane Duffy will definitely start. I mean, Stephen was loyal to Shane Duffy last season when he wasn't in the best of form. Shane Duffy's been absolutely superb for Brighton. He's probably been their player of the season so far. So I think Shane Duffy is going to be one of the first names on the team sheet. I'd be amazed if he's not. I would think possibly John Egan, Shane Duffy, and Darragh O'Shea could all play as part of a back three.
I wouldn't be against it. Yeah.
With Seamus Coleman right back, and either Matt Doherty or James McLean left wing back.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't be against it. I didn't really think of that, to be honest with you. So yeah, it's a good thing you're here. But yeah, no, I think that would make sense. But it will be interesting to see what kind of team he goes with, and then obviously the midfielders will be interesting too. Like I think Josh Cullen has to be in there. Then you're looking around the other midfielders. You've got Howerhin, Hendrick, Malumbi. I think he'll go with Malumbi because I think Malumbi will just have that energy about him, and I think that's just what he wants in and around there. Maybe more so than Hendrick. I know Hendrick's athletic, but he doesn't go around making the tackles and stuff like that. He does like to get on the ball and just spray it out and stuff like that. And Howerhin likes to get on the ball and just pick out players and stuff like that. But I don't think it's a game for him because I don't think he's going to get a lot of time on the ball. I think the Portuguese will keep trying to press us down. Look, this could be, weirdly, in some ways, this could be a perfect game for someone like an Aaron Connolly to get that first goal, for our first international goal. We spoke about Pepe being an outlet. Aaron might just have him for the pace there. We talked about Troy. We are kind of worried about their players. And I know there's levels to this game, and I understand a lot of our better players are probably playing in League 2 or League 1. Sorry, but there's Adamida there as well. You've got Troy there as well. I wonder if these lads can make an impact, and will you go with maybe a Daryl Horgan again? He's someone who's done well for us as well when he's came in. So it is going to be. Excuse me, very interesting, I think, the way he sets up in this game. Because in many ways, I think this is a free hit. Yeah,
I think saying it's a free hit is probably a fair comment. The one thing that gives me a lot of cause for optimism, if you look at our squad, and our better players are certainly defensively, just our defenders. I think I'm very comfortable with whatever players he uses, whether it's a back four or back five. We have a lot of good players there. And I think we have two excellent young goalkeepers. Whichever, I think he will pick Gavin Bazunu, but whichever of the two he goes for, I think are excellent keepers. And I think both are going to be around for a long, long time, hopefully, battling it out for the number one jersey. You get into midfield, you get into attack, and we are struggling for game time. We're probably struggling for quality when you look at what we're up against. But if you want to look from an optimistic point of view, it's hopefully we've got defenders who have got some game time. We could be solid enough at the back. We'd be tough to break down. And as you say, Aaron Connolly, I think maybe Aaron Connolly and Troy Parrott will probably maybe go with two up top, if we're assuming three in midfield. And
I think he goes with a more physical striker, Gary. I think he goes with a more physical striker with one of them, I think. Yeah,
Troy can be. He's young, but Troy can be quite physical as well. You might be right. It might be Adamida or James Collins, but yeah, it's
every time Ida's been fit, he started for him. Do you know, he seems to be his main man.
Yeah. No, that's probably fair comment, and it could well be. It could well be one of them with Adamida. As you say, he certainly does like Adamida. It's just okay. Aaron, maybe I'm contradicting myself. I know when I'm going to say this. Aaron Connolly hasn't got a lot of game time, but he has that bit of extra quality, that bit of pace about him, that got quite a bit of Premier League game time. And Troy Parrott, I know it's down in League One, but he's another guy who started the season really well. Couple of goals for MK Dons, a couple of assists as well. I know they seem very, very happy with him, their fans and everything. And I think we're finally, and I know there's been so many of us, and I'm as bad as anybody, just watching for every positive thing we can see about Troy, and every pass, every assist, every goal. And certainly this season it's been a fantastic start, even though it's only in League One. But so maybe I'm expecting both of them to start, but it could well be Adamida, as you say. Going back to the midfield, I think he may well go for experience. I wouldn't be surprised if Jeff Hendrick started. I know that causes a lot of comments and a lot of things. I'm not necessarily saying it would be my choice, but I would not be surprised if Stephen went for Jeff Hendrick's experience and physicality in the midfield. I'm a huge fan of Jason Malumbi. I've been very, very impressed with him every time he puts on an Irish shirt. But his club form and his game time at club level hasn't been what we'd hope it to be, and I'm hoping with the loan that now he'll finally get the game time and impress, because he looks a fantastic player at international level.
Yeah, well, look, I think the other talking point is James Talbot has been called up to the squad, and that leaves us wondering. He has players in that squad in midfield, in the area where you're going to be most active, that haven't been playing. And yet he leaves out someone like Darren Randolph, who for me, I don't know how you leave him out of that squad. And not based on an ability. And by the way, absolute fair play to James Talbot. He's been absolutely outstanding. And in Europe, he was absolutely outstanding. And on form, yes, I totally agree with the decision to give him a call-up. But I just think having Darren Randolph, who's been in there in experienced moments for the likes of Gavin Bazunu and Kevin Keller, who I think one of them will start anyway. But I think having the experience of Randolph there, speaking to them and just being around them for the match day experience and stuff like that, his experience is invaluable in these situations. And the fact that he's not in the squad, it's not like, I don't think Talbot will play. I think he's gonna just be another keeper there. And look, if he does play absolutely again, it will be merited, because he has been outstanding. The whole summer he's been outstanding, and probably beyond that as well. But it worries me a little bit. Someone like Darren Randolph, who's kind of getting overlooked in this case. He seems fit. He said he dropped him because he had COVID. He was getting over it. He's been out with his girlfriend all weekend, Alexandra Burke. He's been out all weekend with her. It doesn't look like there's anything wrong with him. But that's not from a football point of view. He's been putting up pictures of him in training. He seems to be fine for training. I know he's third choice at West Ham, but still, as I said, for what he brings to that squad. And he just seems to be a real good guy as well, in terms of, you think of, the morale in the squad. And someone like him there, who seems to get along with everybody. It seems a little bit bizarre for me. What are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, look, I would agree. If it was me, I would definitely have Darren Randolph in the squad. And if you decide, he's 34, he still has a lot to offer. And I mean, he's still going to be fit at West Ham, because I know players make a choice at a certain stage as a goalkeeper that maybe goes back up or maybe goes third choice in the Premier League, and you do get well rewarded for that. But you need to still be training every week. You need to be at the top of your game, and I think there's another 3 or 4 years at least left in Darren Randolph. He hasn't retired from international football. He's made that clear. And I think there has to be more to it. And I'm not taking anything away from James Talbot, who's been absolutely superb for Bohs. And but does that make Darren Randolph the 5th choice goalkeeper? Because that's effectively what's been said, because Mark Travers was in the squad until he had to pull out. So I don't know. There's possibly there's more to it than meet the eye, or else Stephen is just making a decision to go with the youth. But as you say, that's different further up the pitch.
Yeah, it's a strange one. I'm not gonna lie, it is a strange one. But I think credit has to go to James Talbot for, like, he's earned the call up. He was called up before, I think, by Mick McCarthy. I think it was a few years back, and he has been outstanding. I mean, if you're looking at goalkeepers within the League of Ireland at the moment, himself and Alan Manus are probably the 2 best, and he might be just pipping him on form at the minute. But I just, as I said there, like, just with Randolph, I don't understand why, like, even when players have been dropped in the past, have been brought into the squad just to even be around him, but I just don't see why he's not been brought in, or as you said, he came out and he kind of said it there the other day, he's no intention of retiring, and he just wasn't called up, which just, yeah, I suppose I'm just going to get wound up talking about it, but I just, because I feel like he should be in there. But at the same time, I'm absolutely delighted for James Talbot. So it's kind of like a double-edged sword there, really.
Yeah, it's also great for the league as a fan of the SSE Electricity League or the League of Ireland. It is great to see players getting a call up, and Dundalk's Michael Duffy will probably feel very unfortunate. I think he was on standby, and he may well yet come into the squad. But it is great from just the league in general to see players getting the recognition. And obviously, Stephen knows the league. He's managed. He's probably the most successful manager the league has seen in many years. I don't want to, but maybe going back to Jim McLaughlin or something like that, or have I forgotten? I'm sure I've forgotten somebody in between. But anyway, certainly Stephen has been so successful in the league. He knows the caliber of players that are being around the league, and James Talbot well deserves his call up. And as I said, Michael Duffy is probably a little bit unfortunate not to make the squad, and he may well, if he doesn't make it for this window, he may well make it for the next window. Like Stephen might want to have a look at him against Qatar in October.
Well, he's came out and said that Duffy was next one in, and so was Liam Scale. So if anything happens to any players between now and the end of the games, I think the two of them will be brought in.
Okay.
Just Michael Marnie with the super chat. Thanks, Michael. He says, I really believe we can still make the World Cup. It's very optimistic. I don't, but I think that we're going to get a longer term gain out of this by playing these younger players. I know Jason Knight's not in the squad, but he was one who's benefited. I think Darragh O'Shea, Troy, Aaron Connolly, not so much. I think he just needs a goal, and he just needs to get his head right a little bit there, and he'll be fine. I think Malumbi's benefited. I think Omo Bamidele has benefited from being around the squad as well. I think he could be a big player. I think Ida has a big season this year as well. So I think, just put the comment back up there. I don't think we're going to make the World Cup. I'd absolutely love it. I'd take your hand off for it. It would be absolutely amazing. But I do think I think we need to be thinking longer term, more to the European Championships, and just kind of trying to get into that, because I think we'd have a better chance then. And I think that the players, the younger crop that are coming through at the minute, they will be more experienced by the time that campaign comes around. And I think that they'll help the next generation coming through as well, because you have your Andrew Morans and Elvin Fergusons and stuff like that. They might be knocking on the door at that point, and they look like really special players as well. So that's my opinion on that. But I think we're jumping a bit far ahead at the same time.
Yeah, if you look at the table, Portugal and Serbia, they drew with each other in Belgrade, and they've been 100%. So because we lost to Luxembourg and obviously lost in Belgrade, we're already playing serious catch-up. To have any chance of reaching the World Cup, realistically, we probably need to at least draw on Wednesday. We need to beat Serbia at home next Tuesday, and we probably need to beat Portugal in November as well, not to mind, obviously, beating Azerbaijan home and away and Luxembourg away. So we can probably afford to drop 2 points in the rest of this campaign. And that might not even be enough. That might only get us a playoff, and then we'd have to go in next March and win the playoff. So it's a massive, massive ask to make the World Cup, even to make a playoff, because Serbia and Portugal don't look like they'll drop points against anybody else. So for us to manage that, it's going to be really, really difficult. It's possible. It can still be done. As you said earlier, Paul, anything can happen in football. But I think realistically, this group is going to be 1 and 2, Portugal and Serbia, and maybe not even in that order, but it'll probably be their game in November that'll probably decide who qualifies for the World Cup and who goes for the playoffs. I'd love to be wrong. I really would absolutely love to be proved totally wrong and for us to qualify or even make the playoffs. But I think it's just almost an impossible task at this stage.
Yeah, well, look, I think we've discussed it in as much detail as we possibly can, and tried to be somewhat optimistic going into this game, but all obviously realistic at the same time. Just want to say thanks to everybody who got involved in the comments. Don't forget to like the video. Don't forget to subscribe. Gary, you enjoyed the game, and hopefully we'll be sitting here soon speaking about an Ireland win.
Hopefully, even a draw would be amazing.
Yeah, a 1-1 win, isn't that what you call it? Yeah. My boys said... Sorry, go on.
Yeah, we've had many of those 1-1 victories, but another one would be superb.
Yeah, so let us know your thoughts in the comments. Do you think we can beat Portugal? Do you think we can get any sort of result against Portugal? Are they too strong? Will Ronaldo break the record? Any of those things, let us know in the comments. And yeah, thanks very much for joining us. We'll speak to you all soon.